Hey everyone, this is Roger from Almost in Full Color, and we got interesting 5 games for Twitch Prime this month. All 5 are dramatically different, and I think that was the theme, was just different styles of games. So let's get started. First up, we have Bomber Crew, which came out in 2017. This game is basically like a flight crew simulator. This is rated 75 on Metacritic and is usually $15 on Steam. This is set in World War II, and the whole goal of this is you control a crew in a bomber plane. So you have like a couple gun areas, a pilot, a navigator, and you have to kind of manage all aspects of the plane. So you'll have items to click to kind of navigate to a certain area. Bad guys coming from behind to attack your plane, so you got to move someone to the back turret and manage a crew. If one of your crew members die, that's it for them. You have to hire someone else. And the graphics here was like a big standout to me. I like this like cartoonish look. It was even goofy because like everyone had winter sweaters that I had because it helped them insulate, which I haven't gotten too far to figure out why I would need that. And it was cool that you hired people based off of roles. So you would need a gunner. You would have to make sure you have enough gunners on the plane. You can't have your pilot really gun. He won't do too well at that, and vice versa. And you just move people to what's needed. If you run out of bullets, you have to go get ammo. You can have people deliver ammo. It's however you want to manage. And I already talked about the health of the crew members is very important, but your plane actually takes damage. And my favorite scene here was like I lost the engine. I was getting attacked. There was bad guys everywhere. And you see I lost the engine. I was like really panicking. There's holes all in my plane. I did complete that mission, but it got very interesting very fast. And like I mentioned, there's no respawn dead people. What was kind of annoying was like the targeting system was made easy because the whole focus is how to manage people, not really the fighting. So to target things, you would just hold your mouse over it and you'll see circles fill in everything that's in your like aiming circle. And then that was it. You couldn't really attack or nothing. And then kind of even landing your plane. I wish it was just a button to go back, honestly, because it was kind of annoying to do this little navigation thing. Like if you got too far, you would have to keep navigating till you got close. Then you would navigate to land. And then it was fun to do the landing gear and all because you had to manage that. But it was just annoying a little bit there. But I recommend this highly as a download. I was having a lot of fun. And what you're going to notice on my pros and cons this time is they're going to be pretty much the same. So the pro here is if you're into management simulators, this was an interesting take. I enjoyed it a lot. The negative is this is a management simulator. So you're going to be managing a crew, and that could be boring for some people. Next up, we have Epistory. And it came out in 2016. And I would like to note that this is a typing game. I was terrified. I thought of the old Mario Can Type. Here's some little gameplay of that. I was back in the day when there was only one computer in class, and it was a big deal to get the morning session to play the typing game, which were all crap to me. But there were some gold mines in there, but I was like, typing game? This is going to be interesting. And it was. This got a Metacritic score of 74 and $15. And it's an action-adventure typing game. First off, the graphics were interesting. I enjoyed it. Since it's a typing game, everything's like this paper. It's like origami running around. And, of course, there's text when it's building stuff. So you would unlock a new area. And instead of like the War of Fog thing you get in a lot of games, this would just have pages come up and build out the scenery. And I like the look of that. And the story basically is you're this woman with her pet fox trying to restore the land from the evil that's taking over now. The controls were very, very odd. They were designed to its typing in mind. So like J was to go down, I was to go right, E was to go up, and F was to go left. And that sounds horribly odd, but I got used to it. It made sense. Again, it was for typing. I had to type a lot. So using the WASD keys was annoying if I had to keep switching back and forth. So I did like this control for this game. The problem I did have was that the WASD keys were still mapped, so sometimes I would type and it'd get done, and for some reason I didn't map one of my fingers back on the E or F, and I'll hit D thinking I had it and kind of got wonky controls. This game is challenging. It's one hit and you are dead. And it went up in difficulty pretty fast. It was hilarious fighting. So the first thing you go to, a meteor like hits the ground and you go into a cave, and that's like their dungeon. And you fight the final nest. And I was doing well. I was fighting all these guys. I was like, oh yes, this game is easy. I could do this. Then this character showed up, and I was like, what kind of word is that? And I just typed, that's all you could do. So it was like panic and stressful. So the game gets difficult, but I enjoyed that difficulty level. And I was having fun. I played a couple of the levels, got through them, was really invested, and it got hard. The next nest was way harder. A lot more bad guys were coming out, and you start getting power. So like the first power you get is this fire. So if you shoot a bad guy, usually bad guys had 2 to 4 words you had to type in order to kill them. If you got the fire, you could type one word that burns them, and it will slowly burn the second word. And then you could type the third, and it'll burn the fourth word it had 4, and then kill it. And that was helpful when you had like 3 of them coming at you. You just set them on fire, type the next word, and it was a lot of management. But this game was amazing, and they took typing to the extreme. When you went to the menu, you had to type map, inventory, type what your upgrade was. Like, there was just no navigation. It was all typing. And I would say this is a download. I kind of wish I had a typing game like this back in the day. And it was a great game to increase my speed. You're going to get frustrated if you're a slow typer, because it was like a fast learning curve. That final nest in that first level, that was like the first huge nest you hit, and you had words like that. So prepare to learn if you're not a very fast typer, and I think this was a fun way to do it. The negative is it's a typing game. Some people are just going to off-put it because of that. Next up, we have Fury, which came out in 2016, and it was a very popular indie game back then. And this was kind of like an action shoot-'em-up game, and it was $20 and a 77 on Metacritic. And this is an anime-style game. The problem I always had with this game is I always think of Afro Samurai. I think it's because your partner, I think no one else sees him but you, so I got the whole Samuel L. Jackson's character vibe from there. The guy's wearing like a teddy bear helmet, which I think of, was it number 2? You were number 2. I can't think of it, but there was a fighting guy that had the teddy bear head. So, and just the style of your character's hair reminds me of Afro Samurai. And some reason I just had to express that. That's the weirdness of this. But the game starts off with you're in jail, and you have to figure out what's really going on. And you're at the top of the level. You have to work your way all the way back down. And this game is all boss fights. So you fight the jailer, then you move on to fight this female assassin that's been locked up. And there's no like ads in the way, and there's even an auto walk feature. So when you kill them, you can hit a button and it will just walk for you. I think it was left control in the keyboard. I think it was like X for the controller. I played with the controller. So you could even auto walk in between. I think you will miss certain achievements, but nothing big. So that's the focus of the game was these bad guys and kind of the scenery, and the game looked amazing. I still like the game of it today, and as you can tell, I played this game before. And the boss fights were different. This was like a crossover of like the Smash TV, Enter the Gungeon style, like top-down looking shooter, which is weird because you're like this samurai guy. And then when you hurt the guy enough, you enter this like hack and slash mode where you have to dodge a lot more and fight with your sword. So it would translate there, and you would fight bosses like 6 to 7 stages. So there's a lot of different content with each boss. And this game is hard. I was playing on normal, and died once at the third boss, so it's starting to pick up a lot. There is a really easy mode, and they even kind of do the Ninja Gaiden, like, talking it very down. It's like for people that only want story and no difficulty, so I feel like it's really easy. I didn't try that, but the game is amazing in general, and I recommend a download. This is probably one of the biggest games to get, other than the Epistory, which I would highly recommend that still. And the reasons are they're fun bosses. They're unique, enjoyable. If you like kind of the anime style, you're going to love this. The negative is it's a hard game. It's not easy to beat the bosses, but maybe the easy mode is there, but I didn't try it yet. All right, 2 more games left. Mugsters, which came out in 2018 with a Metacritic score of 64, and it was $15. The genre was described as a adrenaline-fueled, physics-based action puzzle game. So you start at this big island, and you go to other islands with usually 3 goals, which was 2 of them was to rescue people and collect crystals, and then do this goal of, like, taking out the satellites, pointing a laser to this collector, stuff like that. And it was a very simple game, and as the look of it, I feel like all physics games have this weird blocky-ish look now. And that's what this game is. It was just physics. You could kind of do cool stuff, jump cars, run over bad guys, push things over. I like throwing the rocks and barrels at stuff. And it was fun, explosive. It was fun to get out of a car when I was going fast, and the car kept going like it gets stuck in gas. So I almost died one time. But that was all the game was. You just travel to islands, and that was a real negative to me. I got bored of this very fast. Like, it was fun to clown around, but then it was like, there's no context. I don't even know why I was rescuing people. I don't even know what was really happening. It was just a physics show-off game. And I would highly recommend not a download for this. If you do like physics-based games, you'll probably like this a little bit more than I did. But there's better physics games out there. And that's where my big con was. There was just not much to do. You only had 3 little goals on each island. There was little puzzles, but I just couldn't get into this. The last game that came out last year was Whispers of a Machine. I always want to say Whispers in a Machine, but it's Whispers of a Machine. And this is a point-and-click game, and it's $77 with $15. And since it is a point-and-click game that came out last year, it is modernized, so it's not like Monkey Island was back in the day. And what was kind of cool was your character was this future detective that had some altercations, and you're solving murder cases. And you have a lot of cool tools to work with. You have a scanner, so you would scan highlighted areas to figure out where, like, contamination and all was. So, like, you scan someone's boot, it would be like, oh, there's this certain type of settlement that's only in this area. So you'll go check that. You have a heartbeat meter, so when you're questioning people, you could detect abnormalities. And that was cool. And the story was kind of entertaining. You kept getting this reference of people knew you were special and how you got alternated. The regular police force knows about, but not really. But you're like this higher up kind of FBI style person where anytime you talk to them, they know what happened. And it's one of them games of what you do impacts the story. And that's kind of cool too. I always like those. This is a mature themed game. I mean, you're solving murder cases. There's warnings about nudity at the beginning. So be cautious of that. The cool feature was, like, it highlight where you could click. You could hit a button and it shows you the clickable items. That used to be my frustration with point-and-click games, was there would be a scene and I felt like I clicked just 100 times just to see what was there. This one, you don't have to do it. It just goes, oh, here's the 6 places you can click if you hit the button, and you can move on. So time was a little faster. But the normal problem I had with these puzzles was I always felt like the puzzles weren't hard, just odd. So, like, there was a vent that was oddly placed. Your character, of course, says it, and you had to open it up. One of her powers is strength to, like, break things, but she wouldn't do it because she's scared she'll break something inside, of course. So in order to get this open, you had to take the stuck coin out and use the coin to open the vent. To me, that just doesn't make sense. Like a screwdriver makes sense to me, but so you have that problem of trying to match something that a lot of times isn't intuitive. But in general, it's a point and click game, and these games were never my favorite. I just wasn't into that genre back then. So I would say not for me. The positives here, if you want to play it, I feel like anyone that loved point and click games will love this game. There's a lot more features updated for that genre, and the story was pretty cool. The con, again, point and click. All you do is click around, do stuff, solve little puzzles, click around, continue the story, click around. So a lot of people probably won't like that. So I thought this was a good month. There's a wide variety of games. Again, there was a typing game. I was so confused. And those were the 3 good games that I thought were really good. I would highly recommend at least download them 3 if you're not going to download everything. And I think there's a game here for everybody, which is very unique. I never had a month where I felt like I think everyone's needs will be satisfied with at least one of these games. So, again, I'm Roger from Almost in Full Color. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next month with 5 more new games. Peace.